gloves are not the easiest things to put on. You will have to practice. So if you could practice one time, do you guys have your bags with you? You want to grab one of your gloves out and you can be practicing while I'm practicing? That way I don't have, if one person can tape, that way I don't have like 6 people taping me all at once. So you guys can practice.
You didn't even know.
I'm going to bring a tripod in here next time. So. If I tape, it's going to be like this.
Yeah.
So anytime you're opening up any type of sterile field at all, you need to make sure that you wash down whatever it is that you're going to be placing it on, because you want to make sure everything is clean. You're going to, obviously do your hand hygiene. You're going to look at your equipment and you're going to make sure that it's intact, that it's not past the expiration date. If this were wet or if this were open, would you use it?
No, wait, hold on. You want us to open them now? Practice with you?
I do want you to practice.
Yeah.
But you're going to need to have them on a flat surface to be able to do this. So
Like this
you're going to have to grab a table.
Put it in there.
I want to make sure they fit you guys good before you leave. If they don't, I want to give you the right size. So the other thing I will do, if I'm putting anything sterile on, is I will make sure that I roll up my sleeves, because you don't want your sleeves touching your sterile gloves, right? I will take off my watch, my hair goes up, and you will have to put your hair up and back so it does not get into your sterile field. So that's important. The other thing I do too is I take off my name tag because I don't want it to dangle into my sterile field. Alright, so I take off my watch. And then I would wash my hands. If your hands are not completely dry when you try to put on your sterile gloves, it's not going to work very well. It's going to get stuck and your gloves are probably going to rip, so just know that that will happen. So I've checked all my supplies, I wiped down my table. You can go ahead and take these out. You can hold the wrapper in your hand. Remember, that is not the sterile part that we want to keep sterile. We're going to put this down on our table and we're going to open this up. Then you want to open up the top part. When you go through ATI, they're going to talk about cleanest and dirtiest. I want you to make sure you can answer that question for me when you come back. So you're going to open up the top part and you're going to bend it underneath. You want to stay away from this middle part. You want to keep that as sterile as you possibly can. So again, you want to try to kind of bend this, and then you're going to go to the bottom. So top first and then the bottom. Again, you want to kind of stay away from that middle area. You want to keep that sterile. Then you're going to put your fingers underneath the folded part. You're going to grab a hold of it and you're going to open it all the way up. An inch, you're going to learn an inch all the way around this field is contaminated. That's pretty good. So you want to make sure it's nice and flat. The problem, if you don't get this nice and flat, it can fold on itself. And it can contaminate. The other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be putting your hands all over like this, because then you're contaminating your gloves. So you want to make sure you stand back. You want to keep your table, this table is already waist high. This is the other thing I forgot to mention. It has to be waist high. You will lose points if it is not waist high, because anything below waist level is considered contaminated and dirty. So we're going to go ahead. I'm putting on my left glove first, so I'm going to grab the cuff part with my hand. You do not want to go underneath your first glove because you're going to contaminate everything. So you want to grab just the cuff part. You're going to lift it up. You're going to stand back because you don't want to contaminate your other glove. Then you're going to go ahead and, while holding on to the cuff part, you're going to put this on. So I have one glove on. How's that fitting, you guys? Pretty good? Now see, your fingers got stuck. So you want to don't let them dangle like that, because the problem is that you're going to contaminate. So you want to be very careful. Try to bring your fingers, the actual part that where you're, it's kind of hanging there. Your fingers are not actually in it.
Small.
We're going to go ahead and we're going to put this. Your other hand is going to go underneath the cuff now, because you're now sterile with that hand. So it's going to go under, and notice I'm holding onto my packaging, but I'm holding into that 1 inch, so I'm not contaminating. I'm not dragging my glove anywhere. I'm just putting my fingers underneath the cuff and I'm lifting it up. be careful not to drag it off your field, is basically, or into that 1 inch. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take this, my hand is going in, and if it doesn't go in perfectly, that's okay, because guess what, now I'm all sterile and I can fix it. Now for you, because it was the first glove, nope, no, you can't do that, now you're contaminated. You cannot go underneath your wristband with your with sterile gloves, because it's contamination. So let's try it again. Take your gloves off and let's try it again. Now, who said their glove was too tight? So you need a bigger, what size? What size is that?
7.
All right, so we're gonna replace all your other ones with a 7.5.
Alright, but isn't it okay if it's like a little bit at top?
I would bring it down, especially depending on what procedure you're doing, because otherwise, if it dangles like that, you could have it contaminate on your supplies or your